All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the 61st episode of The Get Down. My name is Cream.
Gary W. here. We're back.
Yeah, we missed last week, so picking up where we left off. I actually got some texts like, "Yo, how come there was no pod this week?" Which was pretty cool.
Love that. Love that.
I was with Mark G on Friday in Atlantic City. He's like, "Yo, I was pissed. I was at work, and you guys didn't post the podcast on Wednesday."
He's definitely one of our regular listeners and he texts us about it every week,
I know.
which is nice. It's really nice and it validates what we do here. So big shout to Mark as always. But I mean, speaking of which, like last week, we were really stinking busy, and this is a big chunk of something we want to talk about here is just having some kind of work balance in your life, right? And when you have so many things on your plate, it's very difficult sometimes to take care of those scheduled things that you have lined up every week, because life's always going to throw you some kind of curveball. You're going to be busier, your workload or your family life or personal life is going to pull you in a direction that is not scheduled for the day, and then you have to kind of backpedal and try to make up for it in some fashion. And some weeks you got to figure out like what's more important. I think that's a huge thing to grapple with. Like, okay, well, do I need to do A or do I need to do B? And what's more important right now at that moment? And then kind of work it from there. And then if you miss a few things, like we missed the podcast last week, like you have to understand it's okay. We understand that there are some people out there that do listen weekly, like we just stated, and it sucks on that end, but I know we had a lot of other pressing issues last week to tend to. So it's always tough too when I'm traveling. I think I traveled last week. So
yeah, usually the week when you come back it's just a short week. So it's hard to jam everything in that we would normally do. And last week there was just other things that were just more important for our business that we had to take care of. And I think one thing that I've come to learn is you don't need to have like three big things in a week that you want to accomplish. I think if there's one big project per week that you could complete, whether it's an edit pack or whether it's, a mix or recording a podcast, whatever it's most important for you, if you could think about your week as a whole and think about like, all right, this is the most important thing. And then these are like the tertiary things that I would like to accomplish, but if I don't, it's okay, And then the same thing every day. If you pick one thing that you really want to accomplish and just focus on getting that done, you should look at your day as if it was a success. And I think thinking about it as completing one thing instead of like completing three things just takes a little bit of the pressure off. So then if you do get those other second and third important things that you want to get done, you're going to finish the day saying, wow, I got all three of those things done. Like, what a great day or what a great week.
Yeah. One thing that you used to do a couple of years ago that I started to get into the flow of doing, I think maybe this was over quarantine. So maybe like a year and a half ago, like when we first started, it was like, write down three things you want to accomplish today. Yeah.
I still do that. The big three, I call it.
Right. But they don't have to be total macro stuff things, right? Do you think like are your three things macro, or are they more like, does it start number one's macro and then it's micro?
So I actually think at first I pick my big three for the week, and then I create my big three for the day based on my big three for the week, which is also based on my goals for the month, which is also based on my goals for the year. So you kind of start at the big one and then work your way down to the smaller ones. But on a daily basis, I generally try and organize based on what's most important.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's just chronologically. So like I wake up, if I'm up early, like, all right, what can I get done now? And then what can I get done in the afternoon? And what can I get done before the end of my workday? So it varies a little bit, but.
Right. I mean, you have to do what's going to work for you that particular week or month. It's something I was thinking about today as I was just driving home, because I have a ton of personal stuff to get done, like not DJ related at all, like life related.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I gotta make a list today, and I was thinking about how I've gotten away from doing the daily 3 things, and it's just something I need to get back on track for, definitely right now, because I'm really, with the travel and with the DJing and with my part-time job and with people coming down here all the time.
Yeah, you have guests like every week. It's crazy.
It's insane, and it becomes extremely difficult to balance. So getting back on some kind of track where those 3 things drive my day and drive my week is really important to me. And that's why I wanted to talk about work balance, because I feel like mine has really gotten away from me in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Because, going to Colorado and then the next week going to Jersey and then being back in Florida. And now next week I'm back in Jersey. It's just a lot. It's logging. I think
you need to take the approach that we started taking with our work for some of your travel and like people coming in and whatever else, because you don't really think about it and you just book it. But then you travel and you come back and there's people at your house and like you can't get this, and you just can never crawl out of the hole.
Right. And right now I feel like I'm in a big hole. So like that's, it's important for people to know that when you have all this stuff happening, like you really need to take a step back and be like, holy shit, like I'm really in a hole right now, or I'm falling behind. This way it doesn't get to a point where it causes extreme anxiety and you feel helpless. And then you're like, I really don't know how to get out of this. So I'm like getting to that point where it's like, all right, let's catch this before it gets really ridiculous. Cause I know like yesterday you had like not an unplanned, but we don't usually work on Mondays. It's usually an off day.
Yeah.
And you worked a ton yesterday. And I was like, I wasn't planning on you working yesterday. So like I had planned things and it was like, okay, I got to really get on the horse on Tuesday now. Cause things got done on a Monday where they usually don't. So
I was off on Sunday. So that helped. That'll definitely help my Monday productivity, but I didn't really plan on getting a whole lot of work done yesterday either. Mondays are like my personal day. So like you said, you have all this personal stuff that needs to get done. That's generally what I do on Mondays. Just all the annoying, paid the accountant, car wash, did my laundry, like just shit that you want to get done that I like to get out of the way on Monday, because then I can focus on what I need to do work-wise for the rest of the week. And it's sort of a day off,
Yeah. So for sure, having like those unplanned days, like when something goes out of plan, you have to kind of know how to bounce back and kind of reassess.
2 things that I've started doing that I think are like game changers for my organization and just like removing stress. Saturday afternoons, I like to sit down and think about, all right, what do I need to get done this next coming week? And just have a general idea of like, all right, these are the 3 things I'm going to try to accomplish. Or like, oh, on Thursday, I'm supposed to put out a mix. Let me make sure that's on my radar. Or, I have the Club Killers mix coming out. It needs to be submitted by this day. Like, let me make sure that's in my notes. Just so that when I do sit down to do work, I'm not just like, all right, what do I do? Like, what's first? You have that plan. And then the same thing at the end of the day, the last thing I do before I close my computer is like, all right, what are my big 3 for tomorrow? What do I have to get done tomorrow? So that when I wake up and I sit down, I'm like, all right, let's get to work on the first thing, because I already planned it. I think those 2 things are huge things that I've started doing that like take away so much anxiety and stress and keep me focused on what I need to do.
Having those programs and apps and stuff that we use in place are also super beneficial. I mean, everybody has access to their phone calendar, number one, so you can always utilize that as a tool for reminders, if you have calls, etc. Then we have Monday.com that we use, which is really great for macro. And then you could kind of really bust that down into some micro stuff as well. So if you guys want to go check out Monday.com, that's really been helpful for our business, number one. And then I know that you have your personal one, and, it just helps plan our monthly for sure. And then another big one for you is Evernote. And just having your running notes.
All my running notes. Evernote's amazing. I think you could be as simple as like, use your reminders, use your calendar, and use your Apple Notes. And like, you don't need anything else besides that, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I've been using my notes more and more just on my phone because I'm on it so much. It works for me.
Yeah.
But you have the Evernote app as well. I don't know if you use that as much as just
Yeah.
sitting on your computer and having it.
No, I use it for everything because like if I'm out and something pops up I need to add to a note, I just pop it in my phone. It's great.
Yeah. So guys, if you're struggling with organization, maybe those are a couple things, a couple tools that you can start to utilize moving forward here, especially going into 2022 and planning on setting up for a more successful, more organized year.
Yeah. I think
But
something too that you talked about earlier with just like the work-life balance thing. Like we're now getting into the holiday season, right? We have Thanksgiving in 2 weeks and we have Christmas. And for me personally, this is the time of year where I like to take more time off. I love Christmas. I love the holidays. I love getting together with my family. I like doing Christmassy stuff. So I try and built in a lot more time off in December. When I was in corporate America, like I used to get the month off sometimes or like 3 weeks off. And it was always a time to just be off and not focus on work. And I love that. And it's continued through here for DJing. What is nice is that this December, Christmas Eve, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? It's a good thing Christmas Eve and Christmas Day fall on the weekend. So that's a built-in weekend off for you guys, for everybody.
Yeah.
Because I highly doubt anyone's going to be open those 2 days. I mean, maybe, but that's like a hard, I'm never working on those days type of thing.
Yeah. That sounds, it's good and bad, like you said, but there are plenty of other gigs that are going to pop up and come your way to make up for that. All those Christmas parties that you're going to do, and the Santa Cons in the Jersey one and City one are in separate weekends. So that's all extra gigs. So it's not like we're losing a ton by losing that weekend.
Right. We talked about all those private and holiday parties and how you can set yourself up the last episode, I believe, or 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the reason why we brought that up is because of all this stuff that happens during December.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an industry person, that you're slammed. Like this is a very difficult month for everybody because you're slammed between Thanksgiving Eve and New Year's Eve, and there is almost no time to, like, if you're gonna go super hard and work every opportunity you can, there is no family time. That is what it is, and that's why anybody in the industry, all of your holiday parties come in January, because there just isn't any time to build in for extra time because everybody's working almost 7 days a week. But then January, you really get to relax. That's the flip side of it. If you really want to go hard in December, or like I said, from Thanksgiving Eve to New Year's Eve, you can, and you can make as much money as possible in that short period of time, and that's okay. And then remember that once January hits and February hits, like that's the slowest time for nightlife. So you'll get to kick back and take your vacation and have those weird Tuesday evening Christmas parties that you're going to get invited to. So just remember, like, there will be a reset come the new year, and we've been saying this now for about 3 weeks, start to get ahead of your 2022 goals and start laying that out for yourself. So you're not rushing to do that in January.
Yeah, I'm actually going away Monday and Tuesday of next week with my friend Jay. He runs a marketing company, one of my best friends, and we do these kind of retreats for our goals. So next week I'm spending Monday and Tuesday doing my goals, and I think it's something that we will definitely talk about and give you guys a plan of attack in the next episode or two. So that's definitely something that we should all be thinking about. But
yeah, I'll actually be upstate next week as well on Tuesday. So I'm probably going to do the same thing. Just like staying on a farm up there. So I'm going to have some time for myself.
Yep.
And
nice.
Kind of do the same thing. But so last week we usually would record on like a Monday or a Tuesday. And then Tuesday we actually moved into our office. And that's kind of why we didn't record. That was our big thing last week. It was like, okay, moving into Get Down's like first real independent office, which is something that we should be extremely proud of. So with that being said, it's ironically in the same space essentially, right, as the Hoboken Hospitality business. Maybe you want to, we've established a really good relationship with them over there, with Gary Yip. Just we've been working with them for, or you have at least for a very long time closely. So it's nice to start to really build on that relationship. Maybe if you want to get into that a little bit.
Yeah. So Hoboken Hospitality is consists of 3 venues that we've worked with. They've owned some other properties and venues and businesses in the past. And I'm sure they're going to own some businesses in the future. But I mean, this is a company I've been working with since, I don't even know, man. When I got my Teak, when I started working at Teak in Hoboken, Gary Yip was a managing partner. And he, we built a really good relationship. I think he really liked what I brought to the table as a DJ back then, and still, through Birch and through being a resident every Saturday for all of his venues, pretty much since we first started working together. That relationship has now grown where, Get Down is booking a lot of DJs, and, we're kind of not really consulting, but we're helping them, and we're working together on a lot of the bigger events like Halloween Day, and I'm sure for SantaCon and Thanksgiving Eve and all these different events that we're working with them. I'm now stepping into a role as the entertainment coordinator for all 3 venues and whatever they're going to work on beyond. And
you want to name those 3 venues real quick before?
Yeah. So it's Birch, which is the one real big club that pretty much exists in North Jersey, and one of the only big clubs in New Jersey left. Wild Moose, which is country bar, but just fun kind of bar, sing-alongs, just good time.
Yeah. Yep. And
then Fat Taco is their newest project. It's a taco spot, music during dinner type thing, and then nightlife at night.
We also do brunch over there, and then evening sets over there on
Sunday
Saturdays.
Football, so there's all kinds of stuff happening.
Check that. Yeah, we got a lot of entertainment going on in all 3 spots, so definitely check us out over there.
So the role that I'm taking on is just kind of furthering what we've already been doing with Get Down, where, if we're booking other entertainment, like musicians, like fire dancers, contortionists, like all the stuff that we would generally do at Birch or now doing at some of the other venues, I'm going to be in charge of that, and payroll and W-9s and all the stuff that, like, behind the scenes stuff that has to get done in order for nightlife to happen at a venue. But I think the most important thing is really being able to curate the talent that steps in the room at Birch. And that's something that I've really wanted to do for a long time. It's something that I've been trying to sell Gary on for, I don't know, 3 years probably.
Yeah, easy.
And it's finally something that he's agreed to, and he sees the value in everything we've created with Get Down and how we can help their business. Obviously he's looking at it from how can they help us, right?
Right.
And we've been able to show value in what we do to now be able to step into this role, which is, a whole lot more work, but I think it's exciting, and it's kind of maybe like a new chapter for me personally, definitely in where my career is going. So on a lot of levels.
I think it's important to note here, because I know what a lot of people could think right off the top. Oh, okay, you're going to be the entertainment coordinator. You're going to book all Get Down guys. But that's not the case at all. We've always had a vision for that room because it's such a great room for the North Jersey nightlife scene that I felt like the talent's always been good that's been in there. I mean, you were resident there for a while. Then we're bringing in different DJs on Fridays. But we really have our hand on the pulse of nightlife in the metropolitan area. So we felt like sometimes there was some talent that wasn't being utilized and brought across the river, let's say. And I think it's important to note that, like, you're not just going to be this Get Down DJ, you're just going to push that down their throat. Like you're going to do what's best for their business, because if they succeed, then it makes the entire, like I said, North Jersey nightlife scene better. And it opens people's eyes to new talent, and hopefully that they can get booked at other major venues in the area. Because not all the time do owners and managers understand, like, the up and coming DJs, or this guy just hit big like last year, or this guy's established a name. And you get stuck in a rut of using the same guys over and over again for years and years, thinking that like they're still at the same level that they were 5 years ago, when that's not really the case.
Yep.
You know, so that's our job to really keep our hand on the pulse and understand what's best for that business.
Right. And that's kind of what I explained to Gary. I was like, his biggest concern was, hey, like, I don't want this to just be get down every weekend, which I totally understand. You know,
that's the first thing you'd think, right?
I want to make sure that we get the guys that we work with in that room 100%, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of this business, you know? And I think you're right. We've talked a lot about kind of the changing of the guard here in nightlife, where the people that were, you know, the headliners and the mainstays pre-pandemic are not the same people now. And I think people who are not as connected to the world as we are don't really understand that completely. And because we've curated a lot of the talent and we know all the talent in the market and out of the market, I think it's exciting for us to be able to bring in the people that we think deserve it, you know, and it doesn't have to be just get down people. It can be a bunch of people. And I'm excited to build those relationships with people that are not get down people that maybe we haven't worked with as much in the past.
Yeah. I mean, you've already brought Revis in there, right? You know, he killed the room, did a great job. And I think that, not that I think, I know that that's a DJ that they would not have brought in there to play.
Right.
Right. And he did a great job in there. So that just being one example of a non-get down person that has already been used in that space. And that's great for that place, because now we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I'll reiterate it. That's great for Birch, because now his fans up in Boston see Birch's name, and now that's a known place when they come down to this market. So,
right.
You know, really important for everybody involved there.
Right. And for DJs in that market also to understand what's going on in the tri-state New York and what are some of the bigger venues and places that they would want to check out when they're in town. So yeah, I mean, I think it definitely helps everybody as far as awareness and kind of putting certain people and places on the map.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think that the biggest challenge, honestly, though, is it's even been in currently before this role, but like putting on the DJ Cream hat, then putting on the Get Down hat, and like separating certain things, but also dealing with the things that come that cross over. It's a challenge.
That's going to be going back to our last conversation. That's going to be you're going to have to readjust again, right? We always have these readjustment periods where, all right, we went from 35 bookings to 150 bookings a month. All right, we have to readjust everything and figure out our scheduling for the week as far as how we're going to handle certain things. And now you're going to have to redo that, you know, over again. And it's kind of nice to step into the new year in this role, because you're going to establish your goals, like we keep saying, for the year, and it'll be a little easier for you to kind of start to map out, instead of like being in the middle of the year and having to you know, you're in this workflow, you're doing all right, because it's January and things do naturally slow up a little bit. You'll be able to kind of take it on with a fresh start, if you will.
Right. But also being able to adapt. And if you have to pivot, we learned about pivoting during pandemic, right? But even more so now, if you have to pivot, you got to pivot and you got to figure it out and make it work. And I think what happened during the pandemic has set us up to be able to do that more easily, where it was a lot more painful then, I think.
It was. And we had to pivot so many times during the pandemic, because you had so many different ebbs and flows of it. It's like, oh my God, we're going to open, and then this hits, and now we're back to some kind of restriction. And so we had to do that a lot. It was just continuous. I feel like I've had to do it a million times with trying to, you know, having to get part-time job and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, life throws stuff at you, and you have to pivot quickly. It can be overwhelming, but just always remember to take a step back for a second and establish a plan. And then it just makes it so much more better to handle.
I was listening to a Tim Ferriss podcast, and I forget who was on, but it was basically like this brand designer and brand consultant who started as a graphic designer. And her whole thing was, when these decisions pop up and when these opportunities pop up, it's not just your brain that's thinking about it. It's like a full body. Is your body telling you this is something that you need to do or not do? And like,
Yeah.
if you're in tune with that, it'll help you make the decision. And also, not only that, but if you're struggling over whether or not to do something for an extended period of time, it's probably not the right move, right?
Right.
Like generally, it's like it's another quote, like it's fuck yeah or no. And we've talked about this a long time ago, I think, but when these opportunities arise, it's like, all right, is this something that I really want to do and something I've wanted to do? And if it's not, then it probably isn't the right thing for you, you know?
I think that one major thing that gets caught up there, though, is it could be something that you're on the fence about, but it financially fits your needs. And that's the biggest thing that people struggle with when making major decisions. It's like, well, this can change my life in X, Y, and Z way because it puts me in a better financial space. But I don't know if my heart and soul's into it. And those are the hardest decisions to make. And if you have like a significant other, somebody that, you know, you share those kind of financial responsibilities with, it makes it a little easier to talk to them about those things. But if you don't have that, it's important to have friends close to you that, or, you know, business associates close to you that can help you, you know, make the right decision, hopefully. Because I've seen that a million times. Yeah.
I've made a decision to take a job and leave a job I kind of liked for money. And it was the worst decision I ever made. I hated my life. I hated the job. I hated waking up every day and saying, oh my God, I can't believe I have to drive to Long Island right now. And it's 6 a.m. because I have to leave before traffic. And I have to go meet with like, I don't know, like builders outside in 10 degrees with snow on the ground. Like this is the worst ever. And then I've also made the decision to quit that job and pursue DJing and producing full time and not give up all that money and hope to figure out, you know, how I'm going to make a living and make my money and be able to do the things I want to do. So I would say that it's never easy, but if you're following a passion and you're doing something that you're going to put your all into, the money generally tends to come. And I know that's scary, but
it's a little crazy. I thought that obviously moving down here with no plan, you know, zero plan, leaving my entire DJ income and my teaching income up north. And yeah, it's like, well, what the hell am I doing? Am I going to figure this out? And then obviously you realize that if you utilize your time correctly, it does all just kind of start to fall into place. Because you do have all this time to put into whatever your passion is. I think having the time that of not teaching to like put into Get Down, like we've done so much. We're doing so much more than we were pre-pandemic before I left. So
yeah, I agree.
It's kind of nice to know that you're able to do that. And yes, it is scary, and you are going to go through some financial troubles, but you'll figure it out, whether they're part-time jobs or whatever it might be. But yeah, don't be afraid to take that leap. That's for sure. So you talked about something that I kind of laughed about early before we started recording. Because it's funny because I'm in this position more than you are right now because I have a lot more time down here. I have more weekends off than you do, but being a regular patron while trying to go out on like a peak night, like a Saturday night, and I just talk about your experience and what you thought about it.
Yeah. So I was off on Saturday night this week and had planned on going to dinner and going out afterwards. And the whole process of like leading up to going out on Saturday and like picking the venue and figuring out if, you know, are we going to do New York? Are we going to do New Jersey? Are my friends vaccinated? Like, can we get into the place in New York? Then it's like, all right, well, my friends want to listen. They want to listen to Spanish music and have some Spanish music mixed in. Like, what are the venues that do that? And it's like, I don't fucking know. Like, I only know the venues that I work at. I work 250 gigs a year. Like, I have no fucking clue.
Right.
And not only that, once you pick a venue, it's like, well, do I want to get this table? Do I want it the high top? Is it $1,000 minimum? Is it $2,000 minimum? Are we going to spend that much money? Like, it's so stressful. Like, why can't I just say, I want to go out. I want to get a table, and however much money I spent at the table is how much money that I'm spending for the night. Like, why do these venues make it so difficult? I understand they're trying to like money grab and like they don't want 10 people to sit on a table with one bottle. I get that. But at the same time, they make it so hard to like have an enjoyable experience. It was not enjoyable. Once I was there, sure, it was cool. Like the fights were on, we had a table, I had a hookah, like it was cool. Wow, but I was enjoying my time off and like actually spending time with people that I enjoy and love and spend time with, which was something I don't get to do often. So that was fun. But like,
man, Birch Management, watch out. He's coming to like redo the whole situation.
No, I got nothing to do with that. Hands off on that. Hands off on that. Jay, that's all Jay Diamond and Ashley and Kara.
Man. Yeah, I deal with that a lot down here, but not in like a going out sense, like where I'm not going to like nightclubs or anything like that where I'm getting bottle service. Like I'm just talking about going to like restaurants and stuff. So, yeah, I definitely don't deal with that in that regard. That's too stressful for me at this time in my life. Like, I did that all in my 20s, and I'm kind of over doing the bottle service thing, unless it's a place that we work at where like it's easy.
Right. It's like, oh, we'll give you a bottle, just tip the waitress or whatever, like whatever it is.
I know the management. I know what the DJ is gonna do. Like we're in a good safe space.
Right.
It's not like rolling the dice on like I'm gonna spend $1,000 and I could potentially have a good night. Like that's well. How about this? What would be your suggestions in streamlining that experience? This is a great like Mark G question, actually.
Yeah, I don't really know because I have nothing to do with that. When I'm selling a table, I just hit up the person that booked me because I want nothing to do with it. Like, yo, here's a table, here's 2 tables, you deal with it because that's not my job and I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I guess that is why we do what we do. We stay away from that stuff. But I don't know. Like I said, I think that's something that I'm beyond in my years. I don't know if I could go back to that.
Right. Well, we're older, and it's like if I wasn't DJing, I would never go out. I'd be asleep by midnight every night, up early, working out, eating healthy on the weekends. Like,
yeah, you'd be going to nice restaurants every
week. I'd be going to nice restaurants, drinking wine. Like that would be my night out. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then maybe like Sunday fun day type thing somewhere.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but that is what happens when you've kind of exhausted the nightlife scene socially. That's what happens. Like that's your transition. That's why so many club owners wind up being restaurant owners later on in life, because like you just get put through the ringer, in the nightclub scene.
Right. Well, when you're out every weekend until 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Like if you're off, you don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do that when I'm off. I have no interest in that when I'm off.
Yeah. But you're right. Like people around you might, because they're not in that scene every week. So then you kind of have to figure it out.
Or it's like, they want to like Anicia or my friends or whoever, they want to hang out with me and do nightlife, like fun stuff that they don't normally get to do because I'm working. So I understand that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Like I said, once I was there and hanging out, like I had a good time, but the whole process of like figuring out and all the stress and anxiety was just not, I don't know what the answer is though. When you asked the question, I think removing like minimums or having a flat fee per person type thing. I don't really know. Like all the bottles are pretty much the same price, right? I mean, unless you're going to a super high end spot.
Yeah.
All the local spots, you're going to spend $200 to $250 or $300 for a bottle, pretty much.
Yeah. I can't imagine that the process has changed much from the last time I did it, which was many, many years ago. That like, just reservations and
you talk to a promoter. They ask you how many people, they ask you what the occasion is, and then they give you minimums and your different options. Like, well, this high top table is this minimum, and this couch is this minimum. And it's like, all right, but if it's me and a bunch of girls, like there's zero chance in hell we're spending $2,000. Like it's never happening. Like you guys are bugging.
Right. Because they're not consuming as much as if you had a bunch of guys there. So it's definitely a different.
Yeah. I also think that spending money on bottles is like the biggest waste of money in the history of wasting money.
I agree.
Like it's so dumb to me.
I couldn't more fully agree. And I apologize to all as Jay Diamond walks by. I apologize to him because we're totally knocking bottles down right
We're
now.
crushing it.
We're killing his business.
But in certain situations, it makes sense as a customer to do that because you have access to certain areas that you wouldn't have if you were just a regular customer. In those situations, I agree. It's well worth spending the money.
If I want to go see an artist, right, and I don't feel like being shoulder to shoulder with people, yes, that is the situation where I'm going to go buy a bottle.
Right.
Like, I'm not going out to be crammed into a little space.
Well, places like Atlantic, like HQ is a great example. Like
Great.
VIP is a huge different experience than if you're just a regular customer.
And that specific spot, like your spot is big. Like you have
Yeah.
a nice big table and there's space away from everything
Right.
else. Like when I
People
think
aren't
of like,
spilling drinks on you and stepping on you and bumping into you, and that's nice to have.
right. But like when I think of like some older New York City spots that we got, like we'd spend all this money and it would be like the size of my desk for like 4 people. And now we're all like this, just like trying to, you know,
Yeah, and you're like crushed next to the table next to you.
it just doesn't make sense. But like a place like HQ, like the one when you played, when I was down there a couple of years ago, like that was a great experience. We had so much room to maneuver.
Yeah.
So
you know what else was another spot that was like that? Murmur in Atlantic City was another one where like you kind of had to have a table or it just wasn't really that fun.
Yeah, that dance floor is tight sometimes. So
yeah,
for sure. So yeah, situationally it makes sense in some areas. Yes. Is it a waste of money? Yes, but does it serve its purpose if you are going to go out? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there are clubs where like the big spenders are paying the rent. Like,
yeah.
When I played Philly, there's a dude down there that I know through some of the DJs that like comes out to all the parties and he'll spend like 10 grand, 20 grand, like, and they'll fly him to Atlantic, to Vegas, or they'll, pay for his car down to AC or wherever because he's a spender. And like, that's just what he does.
Yeah. I mean, that's paying us too. So, no complaints on bottle service, just from a financial perspective, it's not the best, but from a perspective of, is this going to maximize my experience for when I go out?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think it's okay to splurge a couple times a year, special occasions. Like it's worth it to do it sometimes.
Yeah. Right. Right. Like I said, if you're maximizing your nightlife experience, then absolutely. But yeah, so I think it's funny that like that's the perspective that we've taken on it, but that's just an age thing, and the amount of time we spend in nightclubs.
Right.
Anyway,
we know how much the bottles cost, and we like get free shit all the time. So once you start getting free shit, it's hard to like go back to actually paying full price for stuff.
So spoiled, it's awful.
Yeah,
it's
super
awful.
Spoiled.
Like I don't know what's gonna happen in years to come when like I'm not working and knowing people personally in the industry. It's like, well, now you got to pay full price for everything. And that's
we just go to places where we know people. That's the big thing. Like making the call to the connection that you have. Like I hit up Ron Rodrigo and I was like, yo, Ron, I'm trying to plan this party. Like, what do you got going on? What are some options? Like, and he was really helpful. He's like, well, I'm at this spot at this time. And like, I work at this place. I'm not going to be there that night, but I'll link you with the manager, or I'll walk you into this spot. And like, that didn't work out because some of the people we were with weren't vaccinated, but he was a great, I was like, wow, why didn't I call Ron? I called him. He made me feel so much better.
That's what he does. That's his thing. Like he's setting up people's nights, and he's doing this at multiple venues, across New York City.
Yeah, shout to Ron, shout to Rated R and all the DJs that rock with Ron.
Yeah, they're doing their thing. I just saw that CC played with Aoki last week. That looked dope.
It's somewhere nowhere, I think, which looks like a super dope venue.
We got to get out there, you and I. Next time I'm up, hopefully. I
didn't know Ron worked there. If I knew Ron worked there, I probably would have been there already.
He's like management or something there.
Yeah.
So he's been there for a little bit now. Anyway.
All
Seems
right.
like a good place to wrap.
Yeah, I agree. We have some business. We promo stuff we got to talk about. First and foremost, last week, Get Down Radio came out. This episode is Trizzo. I listened to it on my ride down to AC. It's like throwback EDM, like all the heat from like 2012, 13, 14. I was getting amped in the car. Like, man, I haven't heard this song in a minute.
It
Like
was
I'm gonna
nice.
probably make some edits out of that, listening to that mix.
Yeah, that was a nice mix.
Yeah.
I had a good time with it too.
So you could check out Get Down Radio on, anywhere where you would listen to music, SoundCloud, Spotify, Mixcloud, all your hitters. Secondly, Angelo and I have our song The Incredible. It came out 2 weeks ago. We've actually put out a mashup contest. So we're going to give away a $100 gift card, some Get Down merch, obviously shout you out on all of our social media platforms. And we're going to include your edit on the December Get Down DJs edit pack that's going to be dropping. So if you're interested in submitting to the mashup contest, you can go to my Instagram profile or Get Down's or Angelo's, and you can get all the information there, how to submit. You can get the instrumental, all that stuff. And the deadline for submission is Monday, November 15th. So you got a few more days. We got a bunch of submissions already. I'm really excited on listening to what you guys create, and I can't wait to hear it. So make those edits, submit them. And then finally, the merch store. We launched the merch store maybe 3 weeks ago. We've seen a lot of orders coming through, so we're super excited to see you guys rocking the Get Down merch. But that will be in the show notes, also in our link on Instagram. So t-shirts, hoodies, stuff for girls, cropped hoodies, girls shirts, tank tops. There's all kinds of cool stuff. 3 different designs. You can go check that out. And I think that's really it, right?
That's it. Yeah.
If you guys want to check out where I'm playing, I'm not going to go through it. You could just check me out on Instagram at DJ Cream NYC.
There's that much.
Yeah. I got a bunch of stuff happening this weekend.
Nice.
So yeah. Thank you guys for listening to this episode.
Absolutely.
My name's Cream.
Gary W.
We'll catch you guys next week.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.